night, feeling cold against your skin. Running through the chaos, letting all the sin. Temptation in a bottle, ready for the night. Craving for the thrill, it's time to ignite. Dark desires burning bright. Echoes in the dead of night. No retreat, no looking back on this heart attack.
Hey, good evening, everyone. How are you? Great to be back. Good to have you here. Uh, a sort of a very sad night. There's so many updates today of so many different cases that maybe we've covered in the last couple of months, including this one, the missing young lady, and the details of this guy, Tyler Thompson, 39-year-old man from Columbus, Ohio, who Haley met through an online gaming platform. Um, some of the small details that are sort of leaked out over the last 12 to 24 hours have painted a horrible picture of what her sort of remaining hours on this earth were like, and probably left us all with a lot more questions. I think there's a lot of questions that need to be answered, and I don't know when we're going to get them. It sounds like, at least for now, the details that I'll run you through in a minute is probably all we're going to get for the meantime. So we're going to have to be okay with that for now. But yeah, about what was it, about 24 hours ago, news broke that they had someone in custody in relation to Haley's disappearance. But then they said, "Well, we don't think she's coming home." And I think everyone was a little shocked at the time. Everyone was like, "She's not coming home." Wasn't there an update like 2 weeks ago saying, you sort of knew where she was or who she was with, and you thought that she may come home? And now the update was, well, no, and we believe that she is dead. So it went from like sort of one extreme to the other very, very quickly. All right, I'm gonna play this. This is like a 40-second roundup of it, but I'll go through a lot longer one with you in a second. All right.
New at 11, an Ohio man is behind bars tonight. He's accused of a sex crime involving a 17-year-old girl who Indiana officials believe is dead. Franklin County court records say Tyler Thomas allegedly picked up the teen, Hailey Buzbee, out of state and brought her back to Columbus. Buzbee was reported missing in January. Investigators say videos and photos found on Thomas's phone show the minor engaged in sexual acts. Detectives identified Thomas as the person Buzbee left with the night she went missing. During a press conference today, investigators said Thomas is not facing charges in Buzbee's death, but he is a suspect.
So, from my understanding, at least some of these photos or evidence of what happened between Haley and him in the sexual context, she's a minor, so it's always going to be a crime. Okay, everyone's got to understand that she's underage. She can't consent to anything, so it's always going to be a crime. My understanding from looking at the court documents is it was found in a cache, and what we've learned about caches, especially through going to trials and from my own experience, is it's most likely something that he had tried to delete, because a cache is like a temporary storage of a particular object within a phone, and it can be an image, it could be a file, it could be a bunch of different things. So it sounds like at some point there was a video made that depicted Haley doing some sexual behavior, and they're not saying whether it's with Tyler or not, or on Tyler or just her, but there is some sort of video that was produced and then deleted, and they found sort of evidence on it. So I'm guessing they have run his devices through Celebrite and been able to pick it up. because Celebrite will run through and it'll look for everything and anything. It's a very good tool for looking for evidence. It'll take your phone and it'll, even if you think you've deleted something, it'll find traces of it, enough for investigators to start piecing things together or investigating further. Like there's other techniques uh, that the forensic squad can use. So you might get a readout from Celebrite and it might point in a direction. They can then use other digital forensic tools to dig down deeper into that one particular section on the phone and try and find what they're looking for. Um, there's various techniques that can be used to retrieve things that are allegedly deleted, which we should know by now if you follow true crime. Nothing is ever truly deleted unless you go through a step. There's certain steps you can go through to minimize the chances of it being recovered. But no one really does this unless you're a paranoid individual who has something to hide. So most people don't do it. But that's what it's sounding like here. I'll read this little bit here that I've got here. Police found evidence that Hailey had been at Thomas's home and a short-term rental in Hocking County, Ohio. Thomas was arrested on charges including tampering with evidence and pandering sexually orientated material involving a minor. And this is after sexualized images of Hailey were found on his phone. I believe they found some images and they have some sort of evidence that tells them that a video was produced and then deleted. So they've got a couple of different things detailing certain sexual acts with a minor. And why she had to die over this, I don't know. I'm not sure. I find it very, they're saying when she left voluntarily to meet up with this guy, they're saying within the next 3 days she was killed. And you sort of have to ask yourself, why did something turn into voluntary and then turn into a murder scene? So his lawyer was on earlier today. Let me see if I can grab it for you. And I want to show you what his lawyer says. Just listen to sort of some of the things that his lawyer has to say. And they are trying to downplay his involvement in her death. Now, he, according to his lawyer, did take them to her remains, but from what I've read, they're saying that she was dismembered in death. So I don't know how much, I don't know how much stock I take with her legal team trying to downplay his involvement in her death. If he's the only one that's been around her, then I I don't know what to tell you except for I find it suspicious. Uh, here is it here? I just want to double check because like some of these Ohio, Indiana news stations don't like Mr. Ping. Hold on. WTHR. I just got to make sure it's not the one that's owned by Sinclair. Who own? All right. I think it'll be all right. We'll see. All right, I'm going to play this. This is from his defense attorney. By the way, there's a young lady in the background here. I'm not sure who she is exactly, but sort of watch her facial expressions when we go through this. Look at when he starts mentioning stuff that the client might have done. Watch this lady here, the one with the brunette hair. Watch her sort of facial expressions. Watch how, like, when he mentions, like, oh, I took it to the body and he contacted us and we did what we could. Just watch her facial expressions. All right, we'll take it here.
Day, Kate and Maya and I and one other staff member became involved in this case. After we learned about the details, we had to make a bunch of critical, time-sensitive decisions, and we collectively decided that contacting the FBI was the way to go. So we made that call around 2 or 3, and regrettably, due to maybe some administrative circumstances, we were not actually able to speak to an agent until Friday evening. Friday evening, we got together with representatives from the FBI, and then we made arrangements to meet on Saturday. This is all at our client's request to fully cooperate with bringing closure as quickly as possible to this extraordinarily unfortunate situation. So we then reconvened Saturday morning. We met at our office with our client. We then received a call from Detective Feder and Sergeant Leroy from CPD Homicide. They requested that we meet them at the Columbus Police Department, which we did. At that meeting, present not only was our client and representatives from law enforcement, but also a representative from the Hocking County Prosecutor's Office. And so we were all working towards one common goal, and that was, as I said earlier, bringing closure for the family as quickly as possible. Our client insisted upon that, and that's precisely what we did.
I'm a little. I don't know what they're trying to display. Are they trying to display remorse here? Some sort of remorse? Is that what they're trying to tee up here? That his lawyer goes on to say that he does not agree with, if he is charged with murder, he's not right now. And they said they will vigorously defend it because they're saying he's not responsible for her death. He's saying a charge of something like mutilation of a corpse or something like that would be a more appropriate charge. Okay, but you're going to have to explain how a 15-year-old, sorry, not 17, 15, how a 15-year-old girl left her home one night and never returned. You're going to have a damn good story about why this girl ended up the way she did for anyone to believe, and let alone a jury, why she is not here right now. And I don't know, it all sort of sounds like setting up a defense. That's what his job is, but that's what it sounds like they're doing in this interview here, that they're sort of slowly laying the groundwork for their defense of him. Yeah, just I don't understand. You would have to give us more details. And he says he can't right now because obviously there's charges pending. There will be a trial at some point, most likely, and he can't go into further detail. But he does say that he reckons his client is not responsible for the death of Hailey Buzbee. We'll see about that. We'll see.
To that end, at our client's insistence, we assisted law enforcement Saturday afternoon and later Sunday, and that goal has now been met of bringing complete closure, at least with respect to this stage of the investigation, for everybody involved, but most important, the family of Ms. Buzbee.
I think you're using the word closure incorrectly. Don't think her family has any sort of closure at all. You might have returned her remains to them. That's one thing, I guess, that'll go into the favor of him later on. Yes. But they are not receiving any sort of closure right now. It's almost like you're saying, hey, we gave you a present. We gave you a present. We gave you your daughter dead. Here, for you. Here, take this. It's not, doesn't work like that. They will forever be impacted by what happened to their child. And it is not sort of doesn't work in the way that he's trying to make it sound like, oh, our client really wanted to bring closure to. No, you can't replace this girl. Her family is never going to be the same. And I get what he's trying to do. He's trying to lay the groundwork again for a defense. But be careful how you use that word closure, because I think it's a very old-fashioned term now that I think we've sort of almost progressed off it now, especially around people dying and true crime and this type of thing, like people who are killed by other people. I don't think we use it that way anymore because it doesn't exist. There is no, like, what are you saying? Oh, we got the body back. Oh, we can just go back to normal. No, it doesn't work that way. They're always going to have a hole in their lives where that relative, child, whoever is going to be missing from. So yeah, he needs to be very careful how he uses that word.
Saying she's been recovered.
I'm saying that, yes. And again, it's impossible to understate the tragic nature of this circumstance. And again, I want to emphasize, and not being gratuitous, but our client had every right in the world to keep his mouth shut and not participate and let whatever chips that were fall where they may. He did precisely the opposite. He's been cooperative to the extent that he's been able, and that cooperation has been fruitful. So I can tell you that yesterday, and you're already aware because you've done your homework with respect to the furlough order that went on, we accompanied law enforcement and the FBI to Perry County, and we assisted with pinpointing the location of Ms. Buzbee. And so, in speaking with Prosecutor Rugg, who is the Perry County prosecutor, mercifully they were able to work through the evening with BCI at the helm and have, we believe, recovered Ms. Buzbee's body.
Will he be charged with homicide in Perry or Hocking County?
We anticipate that charges in that regard will come from Hocking County.
Do you know when?
We don't. As you can imagine, intelligent journalists that you are, these charges here, were agreed upon, and they're, I don't want to call them a placeholder, but
the charges that he's currently on are holding charges. I think we can all be adults and say that. He kind of tries to pussyfoot around it, but that's what they are. They're holding charges. You don't have to be shy on that one. Elizabeth said devil advocates here, but everyone is entitled to defense, and that's the guy's job. Yeah, that's why I said at the start, like, this is the guy's job. He's laying out the groundwork. Like, that's what he was brought in for. So I get it. But yeah, we can have a look at some of the things they're doing though. It's just interesting the way they're presenting it compared to, there was a press conference done with I can't remember what county it was, because there's a couple of counties involved, and I'll show you a map in a minute. There's Franklin County, there's Perry County, I think there's a third one, Columbus as well or something. There's like 3 different counties that are all involved in this because it crosses different areas and state lines. That's why the FBI is involved. So yeah, a lot of different things going on. But yeah, I agree with you. Everyone is entitled to a defense. It'd be interesting to find out what the defense actually is, because you'll see in a minute. He answers a question from a journalist, and he basically says that their reply will be that he doesn't believe his client is guilty of manslaughter or murder, and that the most appropriate charge will be that, like, desecration of a corpse or abuse of a corpse, something like that, but not actually the death of the girl. So we'll have to find out why and how did she magically become, 1, dead, and 2, dismembered. Like, those things don't just happen. There's no, like, magic that makes that happen to people. Most of the time that happens because someone makes it happen. So we would have to have some explanation as to how he was not involved in that particular happening and why this girl never made it home. You picked her up from her house. How come you weren't able to take her back to her house? Seems like a simple proposition. You picked her up. You went and did whatever. Yes, it's a crime. If you had returned her home, maybe that's all you would have got charged with. How come she never made it home? That's the question that we always have. That's what we're going to have to find out. All right.
He's not going to make bond, so nobody's trying to rush anything. I mean, there's some procedural considerations for all parties at play. But right now, everybody has time to take a breath and move ahead accordingly.
I know you've got your client's best interest at heart.
Always.
Did he explain why?
So I know you have to ask that question, and you know what my answer is, having worked with us for many years. I can't divulge client confidences, nor would I. I can certainly tell you that there's a difference between being responsible for certain acts of which one is not proud, and also distinguishing from taking another's life. I can tell you that he will be entering a not guilty plea if and when he's charged with a homicide in this matter, and will proceed accordingly.
There you go. There's sort of the what I was explaining to you about how they don't think it's a murder or manslaughter charge is not appropriate. Yeah, she, at least her family, well, we don't know. I haven't heard anything about her being released back to her family, considering they only just found her. It might be a little while, because normally they want to do an autopsy, do some other forensic work. I don't see anything about her being, yeah, I don't see anything about from the coroner as of yet. No, not yet. But when we do, I'll let you know. But yeah, she is going home at least. Very sad story. Turned on its head. In the press conference with the PD that happened yesterday, they said that they had sort of known since very close to when she went missing about who she might be with. It wasn't so much about knowing who that person was, it was about finding them, her, where they were at. And that's what they were trying to do over the last few weeks. Hey, Missy Motor Mouse, how are you? She said, I missed you last night, Ping. Yeah, sorry. I took yesterday off, which I shouldn't have because this all happened. Yeah, this is probably gonna, unless he pleads guilty, which it doesn't sound like he is. It sounds like his attorney will enter a plea of not guilty when they get that opportunity. Yeah, there'll be a bunch of legal battles going into the future, unfortunately. He's currently being held on a $1.5 million bond. That was prearranged when he sort of surrendered to authorities. He was in court again today in an Ohio courtroom. That bond was revisited, and the judge, looking at it today, decided that they weren't going to lower it and they weren't going to higher it or make it higher because they just thought it was okay where it was. He wasn't going to be able to pay it anyway, which would keep him in custody at this time. His legal team didn't really have they didn't really care. Like, not that they didn't care, but they just didn't have a disagreement about it. So yeah. JDR said, Ping, you need to take nights off. Yeah, all right, fine. While we're talking about it right now for a second, I am. I for the foreseeable future, I will not be doing Sunday nights. And I sort of haven't been doing Sunday nights for a month or so now. And I've been sort of trialing it to see how I feel coming back on the Monday. And I feel a lot better. I the day off helps. I do get a little bit of FOMO because like this happened on yesterday, and I was like, oh, I wish I was doing a show so I could cover it. But I think it's been working a bit better. You know, we ran for 3 years doing 7 nights a week, sometimes multiple shows per day, and I don't think it's sustainable. I think eventually I'd probably get so burnt out I probably wouldn't continue anymore. So we've sort of just take one day off a week, and because Sundays are normally really quiet. They're very, very quiet in true crime because over the weekend there's not a lot of updates through the PD or through the media because there's no one around really. And most of the updates come on a Monday, except for this one. This one happened on a Sunday for some reason. But yeah, anyway, there's your explanation. So Sundays will be a day off going forward. There you go. Yeah, I just, what are we up to now? I think we're up to like 1,000 live shows or something like that. 1,000, we've done 1,000 or more. I don't know how many, I haven't looked, but we've done so many now. It's almost like a little bit of time off each week would be good. And it allows me to plan for things too. Like yesterday, I got to go back. You guys are going to be so unhappy. I got to go back through some of the Aaron Patterson stuff from the trial and just refresh my memory on a few things, because every now and then I get questions about stuff, and I got to read through some of the Simon Patterson stuff, some of the timelines for that. So that, if you want to know what I did with my day off yesterday, I read through all my court documents for Aaron Patterson all day. There you go. I still did true crime, just didn't do a live show. All right, let's keep going. Let's listen to this.
But again, at this juncture, all I can emphasize is his complete and unfettered cooperation with respect to locating the remains, and also re-emphasize the collective work that was done with our office, with everybody's help, and with law enforcement's assistance to bring much needed closure to the Buzbee family in Indiana.
I know you obviously represent Mr. Thomas, but your thoughts for the Buzbee family right now?
You know, it's hard to put into words. Oftentimes, the perception of the public is that just because you're a strong advocate for those that are accused, that you don't have any amount of empathy for what a family is going through. I can assure you that my colleagues and I are not of that mindset. We, and this is going to sound gratuitous, but we grieve for this tragic loss of life, and we grieve for the circumstances attendant to this loss, and that's why we, along with our client, took every difficult step necessary to assist. You know, there is certainly a school of thought from a defense perspective. You just shut up and keep your mouth shut and do nothing, and just let law enforcement spend how many ever hundreds or thousands of man hours and woman hours it would have taken to locate Ms. Buzbee. We chose to do just the opposite. And I would submit that it's easy to say, oh, our thoughts and prayers and all that trite BS. We preferred in this case to let our actions do the talking.
I mean, he has a point. I don't, begrudge him that point. I think he does have a point that there has to be people that represent on the opposite side of the bar. And I don't know. I've never interviewed someone from that particular side of the bar, a defendant side. I've spoken to prosecutors before, but I've spoken to prosecutors before and people on the prosecution side, the police, that type of thing. But I've never spoken to a defendant, someone who does like defending people, like this type of guy. I've never spoken to them, so I don't know what their mindset is, but maybe he is telling the truth and they do ultimately feel horrible for the family. I guess these people would have families themselves, and they can see the parallels to it. Marilyn said some guy trying out on American Idol was from Melbourne, Australia. That's weird. There's only like 5 people who live here. How would there be people in America that are on American Idol? He was great and got a golden ticket. Wow, that's so weird. I wonder how you got there. Juicy Joel says, good healing, Ping. What you need is important. Oh, thank you. How you going, Juicy Jules? Lisbeth says, I reckon defense lawyers disassociate. Well, I would probably think there's a certain part of it where it's a job that sort of like a doctor. Doctors don't make decisions really based on emotional feelings. They make decisions based on medical knowledge. Do you know what I mean? So it'd be very similar to being a doctor, I would think, in that they rely on their legal knowledge to deal with whatever is in front of them. Same with a doctor. So I would think it'd be their training that comes into play, and then they would just, they would take over. It'd just be done in like a legal sense, not a emotional sense. Because I mean, you wouldn't be able to get upset at every client who comes through the door that's done something horrible. You'd never make it as a lawyer, because that's half of everything in being a lawyer or solicitor or a barrister or whatever. That's half of your job. So I would think that is how they do it. Marylander said, Savannah Guthrie's mum kidnapped. We'll talk about that in a minute. Let's just talk about this one for the second. Danny says, I just caught up, was late. Ping, we all need a day off in healing. True crime becomes cumbersome. It does. I don't think it's really got to me. I don't see it like that. Maybe I disassociate from it. I mean, it takes a lot for cases to get to me. Is why we don't do a lot of child cases. We don't do a ton of them, or at least I don't cover them all the way through if we do them. So I don't take them to trial, and we don't do the trials on children cases. I think the only one that was an exception was, I can't remember now, the little girl from Tennessee, the one where her mum dumped her in a trash can, and Evelyn Boswell, and her mum Megan, Maggie Boswell. That one. I think that's the only one we've ever done in on this channel. So yeah, adult true crime doesn't really get to me. Children true crime does, and I don't really like doing it. All right, let's continue. So what do we know today? Well, we know that Hailey Buzbee is unfortunately deceased, and her remains were recovered not too long after the 1st of February, when, as you heard, Tyler Thompson and his legal team met with authorities, and then they changed the custody over, I think it was to the FBI, and then they went out and located where her remains were. The second part of it is, obviously, it is these videos, or a video and some photos. Some sort of photos and a video were found on his phone. There are more forensics to be done. This is just what they got off his phone. They did execute a search warrant. There's probably much more. It doesn't take 1 day, 2 days to do like a whole house worth of like phones and computers and laptops. There's probably a lot more for them to go through. So that may be the start of it. We'll have to wait and see. What else do we have here? Yeah, so 2nd of Feb is what they're considering the day that her remains were located. And then there is a push. There is a push for a Hailey's Law or a pink alert. And this was because Hailey was initially classified as a runaway. A silver or amber alert was not immediately issued. The proposal law aims to create a specific alert for missing persons where there is a credible risk indicator, even if they are initially thought to have left voluntarily. I think this goes into the whole, there's sort of like a sweeping movement at the moment within advocacy and policing to get rid of the term runaway for juveniles. There is a hard advocacy push right now to stop labeling young people who leave as a runaway. The advocacy efforts want all people to be labeled missing, just missing, not a runaway. A runaway has a negative connotation to it. And far too often we have people who are a runaway and then they end up like this. And it's not a runaway case as such. It's more like someone has left originally voluntarily and then something has happened to them. Labeling them a runaway delays uncovering what has happened to them and possibly ever bringing them home. This case, somewhat lucky that they were able to track down Tyler very quickly. It just took a couple of weeks for him to put it all together. Other cases have not been so lucky, where kids have been labeled a runaway and they've never been found. They've never been located. because originally they were classified as a runaway. Time slips, half a year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years later, and they're like, "Oh, what happened to that kid that ran away?" And they end up finding them like 15 years later, dead in a wooded area somewhere, and then no one is held accountable. But if people had moved on it quicker, maybe there would have been a different ending. So I agree with it. I think that I don't know about a Haley's Law or a pink alert. I I have two minds about all these laws. I I have a problem with every young person who dies having a law named after them. It's sort of like eventually we're going to get there and there's going to be like 50 little girls and little boys' names within the law in 20, 30, 40, 50 different states. And they're all going to be named different things. So it's eventually going to be very confusing. Um, I do agree with the advocacy here that there needs to be a change so that Haley would not have been labeled a runaway. I just don't fully know what the answer is, but we can't name a law after every single person. We're just not able to. It's like there was a law just the other year for the one in Texas. There was one in Tennessee. I think there was one uh for that little girl that we were talking about before, Boswell. There was one for that. I just feel like we're going to get to a point in like 5, 10 years time where there's going to be like a lot of laws and it's going to be fragmented across different states. I feel like what we should be working towards is a um a more national framework where it's more equal. So whatever it means in one place, it means in another place. Therefore, recognition is nationwide. So good idea. I don't know how the application of it would work, but I'm on board with the stopping of labeling people runaways. So yeah. Let's have a look. Kim says, I found it in chat waiting on the Banfield verdict. I did not even follow the Banfield thing at all. I didn't follow it. Don't know anything about it. Rachel said, I agree. All states should have these alerts. That would be my push for it. Is that it should be a national framework across all states in America, because yeah, if you start, and I get it, there's like 50 states in America, right? So if you're and they're all different, they have different laws and stuff like that, but doesn't mean you can't have a national framework. It's just, yeah, I think eventually we're going to get all muddled up with so many different laws and so many different names. And um, yeah, but something should be done. I agree. We have to move away from labeling people as a runaway. It doesn't help anyone. It doesn't help the child. It doesn't help the police. It doesn't help the public. And it's a very old fashioned way of describing children. And I think if you looked at the statistics, you'd probably find that a lot of the kids who are labeled a runaway and end up being killed, there's probably a high percentage that were originally labeled as a runaway, and we don't know what would happen if they were labeled missing. Would there be a bigger effort to find them? Would there be a bigger push to like get the public involved? I would think yes. Rachel said the color alerts are a good idea and should be in every state. I wonder if it's a logistical issue. Well, they did the Amber Alert. I mean, Amber Alert came in and they did that basically nationwide. In Australia, we even have Amber Alerts here now. Um, I think it's only 5 years old, but we now have Amber Alerts in Australia too. We don't have Silver Alerts, we don't have the other ones, but we do have Amber Alerts for missing people. Callie Girl said runaway is another word for lured away online. No, I don't think so. I think it normally means voluntarily left, and it could mean that. It could mean some other things. It could mean, I think when it comes to when you think about that word, for most people, you think of like a naughty little kid who ran away from home, and it just gives a bad sense to the whole thing. So Laurie says Trisha had it on her thumbnail guilty. I haven't looked into it at all. Lisbeth said the alerts by color work well, as long as they don't run out of colors and start doing peach, peach alert, salmon alert. What do you think about the color pink? Do you think that that would work? Because while boys and girls can wear pink, I don't have a problem with that. I wonder if there could be a different color that would include all children rather than pink. I have a funny feeling that maybe that wouldn't work so well. I don't know. Maybe there's another color they can use, but I'm sure pink. Maybe they did it because pink's her favorite color or something. But I just worry that it has a very feminine touch to it. And yes, in this particular case, it is a young female who has been the victim here, but that's not all cases. And there's a lot of young boys who go missing too. And not that I think that it would be some sort of like sexist type thing. I just wonder if it would work as well as maybe another color. Don't know. We'll have to ask the people who are advocating for it. There is a group of people who are pushing for it, especially in this area for Hailey's Law. So I hope they get something done. I almost feel like it's a little bit misguided. That I think the sort of advocacy should be just abolishing the word runaway. So anyway, that's where I think. I just think that let's work on getting rid of that word, the word runaway, nationally, not just from this one, but everywhere, because it doesn't help anyone. All right, let's continue. I got to stop talking. I'm going on a rant. I don't think anyone came here to hear that. So, all right. By the way, hey, for all the people out there, did you see The Devil Wears Prada, the sequel, had their trailer released yesterday at 8 p.m.? So if you like the original, there was a trailer put out last night. All right, let me take you. Yes, I'm going to take you out to WBNS 10 TV in the local area, and they got a bit of an update, and that'll probably be our last bit on it. All right, yep. Let's go out to WBNS 10.
Tonight, law enforcement across central Ohio are investigating the disappearance of Hailey Buzbee. Now, a warning tonight, details in this case are disturbing. The Hocking County Sheriff telling 10 TV the teen was dismembered with some of her remains found in Perry County. Hailey was reported missing from her Fishers, Indiana home back on January 6th. Detectives identified Columbus man Tyler Thomas as a suspect in her disappearance. He is not charged in her death. But court documents say detectives found child sexual abuse material involving Buzbee on his phone. Thanks for joining us tonight at 6. I'm Yolanda Harris.
And I'm Jeff Hogan. 10 TV was first to tell you about Thomas's arrest. This investigation now spans multiple states and counties as authorities continue searching for more of Buzbee's remains and evidence.
Okay, there's the map I wanted to show you from before. There you go. There's the bunch of different counties: Hamilton County, Franklin County, Perry County, and Hocking County. This is what I was trying to explain before. There's just so many different, and you got a state line as well, or 2 state lines. I don't know. You got a state line. That's why the FBI is involved. But then you got multiple different counties as well. So it's been a real team effort between all these different counties, the FBI, different state authorities too. It's been a big effort by all of them. But like you just heard, they found some remains in Perry County. I wonder if why it is some and not all. We'll find out.
It's connected to her death in Hocking and Franklin counties.
We have live team coverage tonight. 10 TV's Lacey Chris broke news of this case yesterday, and we'll have the latest from court.
We're going to start with 10 TV's Kevin Landers, though, who joins us from Hocking County, where right now the sheriff's office is searching a rental property there. Kevin.
The Hocking County Sheriff's Department became involved in this investigation when it was learned that the suspect had rented an Airbnb in the county. Since then, the FBI has been called in to search both inside and outside the property.
It's just a tragic situation that occurred. And just happy to be patient with us.
Details surrounding the death of Hailey Buzbee are hard to comprehend.
Have body parts been found? Have you connected them back to her, and where have they been found?
Body parts have been found. They were found in an area in Perry County, and I've been told they were taken to Lincoln County Coroner's Office for an autopsy, or to try to verify that's who the victim actually is.
And you believe there are other body parts out there?
We believe so.
Hocking County Sheriff deputies, along with crime scene detectives from the FBI, spent most of Monday searching an Airbnb in the northern part of the county, looking for DNA and other evidence that would place Buzbee and the suspect Tyler Thomas at the same home. It's unclear what, if anything, was found at the home.
We searched it once a few weeks ago, about 2 weeks ago, and then again today because of new information that came to light. So
So the search a couple of weeks ago probably would have been a top over search. So they would have just been looking at everything visually that they could see. The search today, knowing that there is now a dismemberment involved, would have been a more forensic search. Drain pipes, pulling up things, looking into the so they'll actually lift things up, especially in a bathroom, and they'll look under the caulk. So the caulk that seals bathroom items, they'll lift that up because blood often gets under those items. They'll take out the drains, they'll take out piping, all sorts of things, rugs, lino, a bunch of different items. So I feel sorry for the poor owners of that Airbnb. Their insurance is going to be very, very unhappy with the cops ripping apart their home, but it's evidence now. Marilyn said drains. Yep, they'll pull out the drains, they'll cut the pipes, they'll remove basins, they'll pull up bathroom fixtures, all sorts of different items. They'll even take up tiling, because often when tiling is done and you have the sealing that goes in the tiles, over the years it gets worn away, and if there was blood it seeps into it, and there's a lot of forensic evidence that you can get in a bathroom or a kitchen or a bedroom. So this one would have been a more exhaustive search to try and find forensic evidence. The first search was looking for a missing girl. So there you go. Yeah, grout. They'll take up the grout. So that's what I'm guessing they were doing, because like he says, new evidence came to light. That new evidence is the fact that she is not whole, is the word I'm going to use. And that is what they're looking for. Awful case. I don't think we'll find out anytime soon, but we may never find out. It just would be good to know, like, does he have a reason, being the accused killer? Why did she just not, like, how come he couldn't just drop her home? What went so wrong that he felt the need to do this? Because it seems like these two were having some sort of a I don't know if it was sexual before that night, but they were talking on video games and online platforms, so they had some sort of prior history. I don't know if it was sexual. I don't know if he was grooming her to send photos and videos online. It's a possibility. And if that is the case, then, well, what went so badly wrong that she couldn't go home? Yeah, sure, she may have told. Yep, you may have heard her, and she may have told someone eventually. You may have gone to jail. Gotta be better than this. It had to be better than this end result, when now you have a dismembered girl, you're in jail, probably could go to jail for the rest of your life, could get death penalty. It just, You always wonder why with these killers, right? He's 39 years old. 39, which I got to admit, that's my age. I'm 41. I don't go around talking to 15-year-old girls ever. Not online, not on social media. I don't look for them. I don't talk to them. I don't talk to teenagers. I have no interest. Because what on earth would I ever have to talk with a 15-year-old about? What, true crime? Are we going to talk about people and murders and things? Like, no. Uh, yeah. I just don't understand that mentality of men my age wanting to talk to 15-year-old girls. There's plenty of good-looking 25, 21, hey, it's legal, 29, 31, whatever. There's plenty. There's so many. You could just do that. That there seems to be a recurring theme with some of these men that is not good enough, and that they are part of these maybe possible predators. Gayla said Mrs. Ping would bob at you. She would. She would. She would. Kim says now you're going to jail forever. Exactly. So that's the piece of information that I would like to know. Why did it have to be like this? And sometimes we don't get that information, like with Aaron Patterson. We don't know. I mean, there's suggestions and ideas, and there's things in the court documents, but they don't come from Aaron. And in this case, we don't have anything from Tyler either. So yeah, sad. Warner still said, if you're more than 5 years apart, it adds a layer of weirdness sometimes. Sometimes? What do you mean sometimes? I think all the times. Like, I'll give you guys an example, right? So, Mrs. Ping's actually older than me. She was born a number of years before I was. And she's more considered like, maybe like at the end of Gen X. And me, I'm a millennial. Those, between 3 and 6 years, I won't tell you exactly how many, there's a disconnect even between me and her sometimes, because the things that she grew up with are very different than I grew up with, although there is some overlap with certain things like TV shows and music and stuff like that. But then there's just some things that she never had because she was too old. And then there's some things that I don't know what she's talking about because I was too young at the time. So I don't know how that would work if you had like a 15-year age gap, a 20-year age gap. I have no idea like how you would find something in common, but hey. Gail said 30 and 35 is fine. Of course. Woman of Steel said a 40 and 50-year-old can get along at times. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I just told you the disparities between me and Mrs. Ping, and we have an age gap. And I don't know how that would work with someone like he's 39, she's 15. What is that? Like 14-year age gap? I mean, I just see myself as an old man now. I walk down the street, and when I see the teenagers, I'm like, "Whoa, better move on this direction over here. Don't want to be the creepy old man walking down the street with the schoolgirls in front of me." So Ping just crosses the road and walks by himself. Kim says, "When you're over 30, it's okay to talk to a 15-year-old." I don't think it's ever okay. I mean, I don't know if that's what you meant, but Gail said, "Fact is, she was still a baby." Still very young. Should have been hanging out with kids her own age and going to prom and doing school stuff. Espion said, missed it all. It's okay. Played family charades. Was that? What's running charades? If you watched Ted Lasso, there's an episode where she goes, it's like running charades. And then he goes, what's running charades? And she's like, what's running charades? I don't even know what running charades are right now, but it's a funny line in that show. All right. Yeah, I think that's about it for now. I think I've given you sort of the explosive details. Oh, wait, one more. So the charges he's been charged with, okay? So 2 felonies. One is tampering with evidence that we already heard. The other one is it's an interesting charge. I've not I know the charge, but I've not seen it provided in this context. So hold on. I'll get you the meaning of it. So it's under Ohio law, section 2907.321, and it is pandering obscenity involving a minor. And it says here that what are the prohibited actions of this particular law? It's a law that covers creating, reproducing, publishing, selling, advertising, possessing, or bringing obscene materials involving a minor into a jurisdiction. The material typically involves lewd exhibitions of the genitals or pubic area of a person or other depictions of minors in a performance of a sexual act. So that is the charge he's been charged with. I basically think it means that he had a video of her either doing something sexual or providing a sexual thing to him maybe or something, but either way, that's what it is. That's what the law says. And yeah. Yes and no. Yes, part of it is that CSAM can mean that you just have the item and you can be charged with an offense. This is slightly different. This means you were involved in the production of it as well. So this is like if you caused a underage person to perform within that video for some reason, it can be applied in that way too. So yeah, it is Yeah, I'm gonna go to the ohiolaws.gov. Yeah, I'd never heard it applied in this way. Normally it is a CSAM law that gets applied rather than this one. This one tells me there must have been some significant contribution from him in producing or procuring that evidence. So that's why I think it's this particular charge and not a different one. Okay, website's not loading. Good work. We'll have to go to a different one. Here we go. So yeah, so this is in the Ohio code. Yeah, pandering obscenity. No person with the knowledge of the character of the material or performance involved shall do any of the following: create, reproduce, publish any obscene material when the offender knows that such material is to be used for commercial exploitation or will be publicly disseminated or displayed, or when he is reckless in the regard. And this talks about things like promote or advertise for sale. That's more for like people who are selling this type of stuff. And then it moves on to section 3, create, direct, or produce an obscene performance when the offender knows that it is to be used for commercial exploitation. But there you go. Buy, procure, possess, control any obscene material with the purpose to violate subsection A2 or number 4. So it's section A2 or A4. It is an affirmative defense to a charge under this section that the material or performance involved was disseminated or presented for bona fide medical scientific. This is basically saying that if you were a scientific research or something like that, and you had to have it as part of a legitimate study, or if you were law enforcement and it was part of your case, that would be a defense to this particular charge. But that's not what we're doing here. Pandering obscenity. Yeah. So portray, create, reproduce, or publish any obscene material that has a minor as one of its participants or portrayed observers. And then it's, basically create, direct, or produce an obscene performance that has a minor as one of its participants, which that's what it falls under. for him. So there you go. Woman of Steel said, like Cuties on Netflix. I know what that is. I never watched it. I saw the commentary surrounding it. So I don't have a comment because I don't know. I never watched it. I saw the commentary around it basically saying that it was hypersexualization of little girls, but that's all I know about it. I never watched it, so I don't know what it actually is. I know it's something like cheerleading or something, or beauty pageants, and they were filming like the little girls, but other than that, I don't know. Yeah, there you go. We'll find out more about this guy. He's due back in court in a little while. I'll get you the date. Hold on. Yeah, so he's being held with no bond. No, he is. He's being held on a $1.5 million bond right now. By the way, here's his mugshot if you want to see it. This is him. If you didn't catch it in the videos, there he is in his turtle vest, the vest they put you in if you could be serving a life sentence or something like that. They tend to put you in these to stop you from S word. So there you go. There's his mugshot. Yeah, all right. So here, court documents allege that Thomas recorded a video of Busby performing sex acts at his Victorian village home and later attempted to delete it. There's your context to the laws that we were just talking about. There you go. So she was doing something, and he was obviously directing them, being that it was filmed at his home, and that's how you get under that law. Let's see. Yeah, so Thomas has no prior criminal history, is being held on a $1.5 million bond, and they're expecting murder charges out of Hocking County at a later time. Currently, right now, the Columbus Police and the FBI are sort of the lead agencies right now, being that there are so many that are involved, but apparently it is the FBI and Columbus that are taking the lead. Let's see, do I have anything else? Yeah. Okay, I think that's it. By the way, the press conference that happened 24 hours ago, not the one from today, was this one here with the Fisher PD. I'm not going to play it. I'll just show it to you, and I'll leave a link in the chat for people who want to watch the whole thing.
Okay, it's 5 o'clock. Fortunately, this is tragic news for our.
This was the one. So this was the one where they basically told everyone that Hailey Buzbee would not be coming home alive. This was the one from about 24 hours ago, maybe a little longer. There you go. So if you want to watch it, runs for about 10 minutes or so. And yeah, you can watch it if you want. But most of the details I've already told you. And I don't think there's anything I am withholding from you. I think that's it. I think that's it for that one. I think so. Oh, I probably don't know if I mentioned it, but the police believe that when she went missing just after January 5, they reckon she went missing in the early hours of January 6, but her parents last saw her the night before on January 5. They believe that she most likely died within about 72 hours of being picked up at her home by Tyler Thomas. So within about 72 hours. So she's been unfortunately deceased for almost a month, just shy of a month. All right, let's talk about the other case that everyone wants to talk about right now. There is the missing mother of a media member. Now, I know everyone's probably been following it on Agenda Free TV. I know he's been doing it. I thought he was in another country at one point, but he must be back already. It's Savannah Guthrie's mother. and she's been abducted from her home. Today, police confirmed they believe she was dragged out of that home, dragged. Not walked out of the home, not left voluntarily. Someone dragged her out of that home. And I'm just going to grab you a small update if I can find it here. Yeah, there was a press conference here about 10 hours ago. I'll play a little bit of it.
Media knows that. We get started. I believe it was around noon yesterday. We got a call to the Guthrie residence that Nancy Guthrie, 84 years old, was missing. We expended a lot of resources for a missing person that we typically always do. Our search and rescue volunteers, our search and rescue teams, other agencies, Borstar from Border Patrol sent their canines out. They worked tirelessly all day yesterday and all day tonight. I'm sorry, all day yesterday and all last night. To no avail. As I said yesterday, we saw some things at the home that were concerning to us. We believe now, after we processed that crime scene, that we do in fact have a crime scene, that we do in fact have a crime, and we're asking the community's help. This community has always stepped up to help us solve some pretty tough crimes. I'm looking for that again. This is a 84-year-old lady who suffers from some physical ailments, has some physical challenges, is in need of medication that if she doesn't have in 24 hours, it could be fatal. So we make a plea to anyone who knows anything about this, who has seen something, heard something, to contact us. Call 911. We don't need another bad tragic ending. We need some help. Our team is the best. I couldn't speak any higher. I think you know that. We have done some great work with our partners in the Valley. You know, this community, I have to give a lot of thanks to our law enforcement agencies all across this valley, whether it's the Tucson Police Department or some of the smaller agencies. They've all reached out. They've all offered to assist. The FBI, all of them. We work so close with them, and they are all plugged in. We'll continue to work closely with them. But what I really need is I need this community to step up and start giving us some calls. Let us know if you've seen something.
Yeah, so she lives in this lovely big home, and it's beautiful. It's like this beautiful home in Arizona in the Catalina foothills. It's a lovely home. Here's her with her daughter, Savannah. Her mom's name is Nancy. So Nancy's on the right here. There's her daughter, Savannah. This is her home here, 5820. That's the address. Look at this beautiful home. I'll put it up on the screen. Hold on. There we go. She was returned here by a friend. So she had been at an event, and then she had returned here. That's the last time anyone saw her, and they don't know what happened to her after that. So it is very concerning. 84 years old. You know, she has some mobility issues, is what they're saying. So it's not like she ran away from her own home. She has some medical issues, which means it would be difficult, not impossible, but difficult for her to leave on her own regard and go a far distance. They're saying here that during that press conference that I just had on the screen, they explained that Nancy is very limited in her mobility. They said she did not just walk out of here. And then a few hours ago, they clarified this, saying they believe she was dragged out of the home. Dragged is the word that I've been given, which is a pretty, descriptive word, dragged. So an abduction is what they're saying. They're saying here her phone, her wallet, and her car were still at the home when police began looking for her and when detectives searched the property. Lights in the common areas were all on, and Guthrie's front door was unlocked. But they believe there was signs of forced entry into the home. And the police are currently going door to door looking for any type of video evidence of who might have been in the area at the time and whether there's any vehicles or, that type of thing. That's what they're looking for. So they also don't know whether it was connected to her daughter. They don't know whether someone targeted her for like a ransom because her daughter is famous, or they're not sure. Dragged out of her home is what I'm being told. Dragged. Let me double check. Maybe I'm saying it wrong. I don't think so though. No, dragged from her home and abducted is sort of what's being said. Yep. Dragged and abducted. Here, I'll take you to ABC Family. They've been doing sort of the coverage of it. That is CBS 5 3 TV in Arizona. Here we go. ABC. Yeah, let me go to CBS 5 3 TV. By the way, what's annoying is there was another story I want to do, and it's from Arizona. It's about the frat boys who killed one of their new recruits, like a fresher or whatever you call it. There was a young guy who was pledging to the fraternity, and he died over the weekend. And I wanted to do that story, but it may have to wait for the late show. We'll talk more about the fraternity one later. Yeah, let me go. Did we play the video? Here we go.
More about the steps law enforcement is taking to determine what exactly happened to Nancy Guthrie.
Our true crime correspondent Brianna Whitney's here in the studio tonight to talk a little bit about what might be going on behind the scenes. We know we have the Pima County Sheriff's Office plus federal partners. The FBI is in on this as well.
Oh, absolutely. And they may not even need the FBI's help. It just depends on how the investigation unfolds. But that is common when you have a high profile case like this and you need potentially other resources that the FBI would have, specifically digital resources and forensics. That's often something the FBI can assist with. Tucson's a relatively large city for Arizona, but not the largest like some of the resources we might have in Phoenix. But given that we know that a crime took place and it's now being investigated as an abduction, we are in the most crucial hours of a missing persons case, the first 2 days. The more time that ticks, the more dire the situation can become for a victim, which is why the sheriff's office has their top detectives on this. While we don't know what exact evidence was found in Nancy Guthrie's home that suggested she was either attacked or forcefully taken, we know her cell phone was left behind. Detectives are actively going through that now, which is good for pulling any important information off of it, but bad in that her cell phone won't provide any location data for where she may have gone. The other digital part of this is surveillance footage. The sheriff said the home does have surveillance cameras, which hopefully will show who she left with and how. But I interviewed Phoenix PD's retired missing persons detective, Melissa Pulver, who said the first hours aren't just looking at the crime scene evidence in front of them, but who Nancy Guthrie was with on a daily basis.
Yeah, that might be a good avenue to look at. Who does she socialize with? Who does she know? Who comes and goes from the property? Who would know that she is there? All those type of things are good leads. Yeah, they haven't said, but they said that most of her belongings were at the home. So you think Why would you take an old lady, and I use that because that's what they're saying. I don't like calling people old. Older lady. If it was a robbery, why not take things like her purse, her phone, laptops, valuables, jewelry, firearms? Like, why take the woman herself? What would that that's where you got to look in the investigation. What would you gain by not taking hard valuables and taking a human? So that's probably what investigators are looking at. What would be the driving force for that type of an abduction? I don't think you probably hear about an 80-year-old woman being abducted that often. It's pretty uncommon. It's normally younger people that are abducted. Yeah, that's when she was dropped home by her friend. She was at an event earlier in the evening. Money taking her to an ATM, then how come they didn't find her? If they got their money, they would have booted her out of the car and then dumped her. So I'm concerned why they can't find her. Gayla said, "I'm not taking a phone or anything that will be able to give away my location." I'll tell you something. Do you guys want to hear a personal story very quickly? So at Mrs. Ping's work, she often has to deal with vulnerable people. So like homeless people or like homeless people or just other people who need help. There was a woman who came in the other week, asked for help, and Mrs. Ping did her job, got her connected to a support person that would be able to help her out very quickly, like rapidly. And the girl said she didn't have a mobile phone. So Mrs. Ping was like, "Okay, we have a phone that you can use." And she dialed the number into the phone, gave it to the woman, and was keeping an eye on the woman. Mrs. Ping got called back into another area, and when she came back, the lady was gone, and she took the phone. They can't figure out why she would take the phone because all Mrs. Ping had to do was call IT and they just disabled the whole thing within 5 minutes. They have security systems in place that they can kill the SIM card, kill the phone, put a message on the screen saying return it to the workplace, and then they had to do a police report. So, and they were able to track it to its last known location. So they know where it went. They don't know where it is. They don't know where the person is after that, but they know where it last pinged. So yeah, I would think that's right, but then I just show you like people are not always thinking clearly because why on earth would this person take that phone? They would know that they would just shut it all down within minutes. But this stupid person still took the risk to take that mobile phone. It's not worth anything either. It's worth like $80 on the secondhand market and you can't sell it because they locked it. So don't know. People do weird things with crime. And yeah, so now the cops are looking for this woman. And the girl was stupid because when she came in asking for help from Mrs. Ping, she gave her name, her legal name. She had a car with her and like a lot of details. So now there's a police report out there for a theft charge for her. So people do all sorts of weird things for like, I don't know why. Was she high? I don't know. I wasn't there. Mrs. Ping didn't. Mrs. Ping did not know either. She wasn't sure. But, you know, t- she had to have known that was going to be like a lose-lose situation. She wasn't going to gain anything out of it. She couldn't hock the phone. So we don't know why that person did that. But like you were saying, like, why would they leave the phone? Yeah, I don't know. It almost makes me think it's not money related. It's something else because you would think a lady who is quite well off, her daughter's quite well off too, probably has quite a lot of nice things. You could probably take enough things from her in a robbery to get whatever you needed. So it's a bit strange, a bit odd. Let's have a look here. How are we going for time? Is the other people running late? Let me check. Let me see if they're going to run late. You guys. Let me speak to them, you guys. All right, let's see what they say. I asked if they need it at 10:30 or can we go a little bit longer. All right. We'll see what they say. We'll keep going until 10:30. All right. Let's have a look. Let me see what else we can find about Nancy. If not, we'll have to look at it when we get back for the late show. Let's go to WPLG. Maybe they have something we can look at too.
Also developing right now, the search is intensifying for the mother of Today Show host Savannah Guthrie.
Nancy Guthrie was reported missing from her home in Arizona over the weekend. Our JC Birch is in the newsroom now with more on a news conference that just happened moments ago. What did we learn?
Well, we did learn that Nancy Guthrie disappeared from her Tucson home Saturday night, and now authorities are saying they do believe some sort of crime occurred and that there are signs at the home indicating she did not leave on her own. Pima County Sheriff's Office, Chris Nanos, appealing to the public for help in providing information that will help bring Nancy Guthrie home. The 84-year-old does have mobility issues, and she is in urgent need of her medications.
After we process that crime scene, that we do in fact have a crime scene, that we do in fact have a crime, and we're asking the community's help. This is a 84-year-old lady who suffers from some physical ailments, has some physical challenges, is in need of medication that if she doesn't have in 24 hours, it could be fatal.
The sheriff's office also saying that while Nancy Guthrie has physical ailments, she does not have cognitive issues. Multiple units with the Pima County Sheriff's Office are now searching the neighborhood where she lives, and they're using drones as well as search dogs and infrared heat sensors.
The fact that they're like, there is a crime scene, not just like, hey, we rocked up to a house and someone's missing, is very concerning. I think the cops probably know a bit more than they're letting on. It's interesting that they're using the infrared. The infrared almost tells me that they think that she might be alive. Because if they thought that she was dead, they wouldn't use the infrared because it wouldn't help. They wouldn't be able to find her. It would pick up nothing. So I'm interested in what gives them the direction of hope that they don't think that she was killed shortly after being abducted. Because yeah, they wouldn't use the infrared. The infrared would just pick up nothing. It would just, the body would get heated up by the sun, but it would cool down very quickly by the time night falls. So you wouldn't have that consistent heat signature like you have with a living person. So that's very interesting, which makes me wonder, do they think that, like someone said in the chat, was she abducted to get money and then they just kicked her out into the desert? And now she's like wandering around the desert because she has poor mobility. Like she could be out there for days trying to walk back to the city or civilization. Like you don't have to go very far out in Arizona to be in the middle of like, the desert, a haboob, a monsoon, although it's the wrong time of year for monsoon. Monsoon is like August to, what is it, like July to August or something, or July to September. So wrong time of year for that. But still, you don't have to go too far out for a woman with poor mobility, even to walk like say 5 miles that a healthy individual would be able to do and make it back to town. That might take her days and days and days. So we'll have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see. By the way, they didn't reply to me. How rude. How rude. You tell Trish how rude she is. She's probably getting ready for her show. She's probably getting ready. She's probably not looking at her phone. That's all right. That's okay. We'll finish at 10:30. Arizona is very hot right now. In California, we're in the 80s. It sounds like you're like in Australia. Down here in Melbourne, it's in the 80s today. So that's interesting. Oh, interesting. Oh, by the way, it was confirmed over the weekend that the story I brought you about WA, about the 2 autistic children and the parents, they have now confirmed that that was a sort of joint agreement between the parents. As sad as that is exactly what has happened. So both the parents made a conscious choice to do what they did. So that is now being confirmed. That is awful. It really is. All right. Do we have anything else? What time are we at? 26. Oh, I'll spend the last couple of minutes thanking people. Hey, I want to thank my friend. Very kind of you. We've had some very kind people like JDR, Sean, and another person, all helping out with the cost of the trial. So the cost of the trial to go to Samantha Murphy in April. Thank you. Everyone keeps leaving really nice messages on their donations. It's very sweet. I appreciate it. Thank you to all of you people that have done that. We are at $850 already, which is amazing. I think we've only been sort of doing it for a couple of weeks and already $850. We will probably make the total by the time we have to go to the trial. So very kind of you all. You are awesome people. Hey, so we're still waiting to organize a time for this guest to come on. I'm going to tell you who it is. It's a Victorian author. Her name is, and I'm hoping I'm pronouncing her name right. Her name is Vicky Petrias. She is an author down here in Victoria, lives in Melbourne, so a great author. Hopefully I'm pronouncing her name right. But she's written a bunch of books: The Phillip Island Murder, The Unbelievable, The Stolen, The Vanishing of Vivian Cameron, The Frankston Murders. She wrote a sequel to that called The Frankston Murders 25 Years On. We hope to have her on in the future. We're working to do it. So it'll be a good interview. She's a really nice lady. I've been speaking to her in private over the last couple of weeks, and she's a lovely person. So I don't know when we'll have her on, but sometime soon. We're still sort of working it out. But we'll talk a lot of true crime with her. She has a lot of interesting things to show you and a bunch of books that you may not have read. So if you've never heard of her or you have, but you're not sure what her books are about, we're going to show you and go through a few of them and what they're about and how you can find them and stuff like that. It'll be really good. All right. Go have fun with Web Sleuths live at 10:30 in about 2 minutes over on Web Sleuths live on YouTube with Patricia Griffith. All right. I'll see you later. Bye.